Today, we are looking at 3 beachside cities where you can retire on Social Security alone. So, what if your Social Security check didn't just cover your bills every month, but actually gave you a lifestyle that most people only get to experience when they're on vacation? Hi, I'm Kat Kalashian with Live and Invest Overseas. And right now, the average US retired couple brings in about $3,200 per month from Social Security. And in many parts of the US, that's barely enough to get by. But overseas, that same income can unlock something completely different. Think ocean views, long lunches, fresh food, and a slower, more enjoyable pace of life under the sun and near an ocean. Today, I'm going to show you 3 beachside cities where you can live well, sometimes very well, on that budget. So, number 1, we're looking at Tarragona in Spain. So Tarragona is one of those places that most people haven't ever heard of, let alone visited, but they probably should be looking at it and other kinds of places like it, because just about an hour outside of Barcelona is this fantastic, beautiful, historic city right on Spain's Costa Dorada. And it's basically a quieter, more livable version of the Mediterranean dream that many people might think about. And so many cities are like that. Just outside of the main trails, outside of the main cities that people know, there is so much to discover, and getting outside of those really well-known areas is where you'll find all of these great values. So, as I said, Tarragona is a city with some serious history. It's got its Roman amphitheater literally overlooking the sea. It doesn't get more picturesque. Ancient walls, a cathedral that dominates its beautiful skyline. But this isn't a place that's frozen in time. This is a living, breathing Spanish city full of real people and a few real expats, not that many, but a place where you can really experience an authentic lifestyle here in Spain. So, daily life here, what would that look like? It would be simple in the best possible way. You would have a morning coffee on the plaza, walk along the waterfront. Lunch would stretch a little longer than you planned, and then there's the beach, because here it's just a part of everyday life. And one of the biggest advantages, of course, is the cost of living here. You can rent an affordable 2-bedroom apartment for under $900 per month. A meal out might cost you $15. Fresh produce from the markets is extremely inexpensive, super high quality. So many people say they moved to Europe and food just tastes better, partially because of organic policies and the fact that it's coming in from just a couple miles outside of town. Wherever town or city is, markets provide fresh produce every day, as well as fresh butchered meat, fresh fish, etc. And that's just a part of everyday living anywhere in Europe almost. So all in, a couple can live well here for about $2,000 per month. And as well as just having a really nice kind of pace of life, there is so much to do here, so much to keep you entertained. There's sailing, swimming, cycling along the coast. Obviously, anything to do with water is available here. But there are also cultural events year-round, festivals, and surprisingly, an active expat community. Even though this isn't a major expat hotspot, as I said, there is a small community and it's easy to get involved with. And this is the kind of place where you really can ease into life without feeling overwhelmed by too much going on. This is a very accessible city. So if you're looking for a Mediterranean lifestyle that's authentic, affordable, and just a little under the radar, Tarragona is hard to beat. Next up, number 2, we have Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So we're shifting continents now from Europe, my domain, into Latin America. So Puerto Vallarta is one of the top retirement havens in the world. It has historically been so for decades already. So it's attracted many expats, both retirees and increasingly digital nomads and younger families. And because of this history of foreign residents moving in, there's as a very established expat community here. So it's very easy to plug into. So you might find that life here compared to Tarragona might be a little more inherently social, and for a lot of people, more immediately comfortable. Mexico is very familiar to Americans. Mexican culture is familiar. Plus, Puerto Vallarta, or PV as many people call it, PV is extremely Americanized as well, even within the context of Mexico. As I say, it's had so much American influence for so many decades now that it is a very familiar halfway house or, mid-stepping point in between moving from America to something a little bit bit more exotic overseas. So here in PV, you've got the Pacific Ocean on one side, the jungle-covered mountains on the other, and a city that really blends traditional Mexican culture with a very international feel. So one of the biggest draws about PV is how easy it is to settle in. English is widely spoken here. There's a very large expat community, and everything from grocery stores to healthcare. It's familiar, it's accessible, the brand names are the same. You know, you'll recognize those logos. There's a Home Depot, there's a Costco, all of these things that are familiar that you won't find in Europe, for example. So a little bit more of a culture shift when you move across the Atlantic. So what would daily life look like here in PV? Well, you'd start your morning probably with a nice walk along the Malecon before it gets too hot. The Malecon is the boardwalk along the sea. You might have a coffee in your hand, or you might sit down for a café con leche, or maybe, you know, a little breakfast sandwich or something. Spend the afternoon by the beach or the pool or at your golf course if you're in a golf community, a tennis course and a tennis community. And at the end of the day, almost every day in Mexico on the Pacific coast is best spent watching the sunset over the Pacific with a nice cold drink in hand. So this is a social, very lively place to live. There's always something going on. Cost-wise, Puerto Vallarta is closer to that 3,200 monthly budget. But it works, especially if you live more like a local, you know, using the buses, eating at neighborhood spots as opposed to the really tourist or foreigner targeted places, shopping at the local markets. You can stay well within that range, but it can be easy to go over that range because there is just so much here to spend money on. Essentially, there's just more to buy, more to spend. So it's easy to go over the budget unless you're watching it carefully. Healthcare here is another huge advantage of living in Mexico. Private hospitals are modern, affordable, and very familiar with international patients. So it's very easy for an American to get plugged into the Mexican healthcare system. A doctor's visit, for example, might cost $25 to $80 at the most. So this is a place where you're not sacrificing any lifestyle to save money. You are definitely upgrading it. And for many retirees, that balance of the comfort, the convenience, and energy is exactly what they're looking for. Finally, if you're really, really looking to slash your budget, this last one, the best value by far, is about to come up. But before I get to that, I just want to let you know about our International Property Summit, which is taking place next week on May 20th. And if you're not already coming to Panama to join us with a ticket in hand to join us for this event in person, you can still grab a virtual pass to join online and discover everything that you need. It's a one-stop shop for real estate trends, markets, and insights, as well as exclusive turnkey, fully vetted real estate deals from across the world. And with the virtual pass, you can access it all via live streaming, ask your questions, and book consultations. But if beachfront living is really what you're all about, then you should definitely take a look at joining me and the rest of the Live and Invest Overseas team in Panama in July for our inaugural beachfront living event. In the right places around the world, you can live just steps from the beach, starting at a cost of just $1,830 a month, as we're showing in this video. Our all-new flagship event will show you how to find your home on the beach and all of the steps in between to make that happen. Learn more at that link on the screen. All right, Hua Hin, Thailand is our final destination for today's video. This is the ultimate if you're looking at budget escapes. So the first two are about great value for sure. This one is about stretching your money so far that it almost feels unreal to somebody who's living in America, North America, Europe, even Latin America. So Hua Hin, a little background, it started as a tiny fishing village and it became a royal retreat for the Thai monarchy. Today, it has become one of Thailand's most popular destinations for retirees, and it's very easy to see why once you start looking at this gorgeous little city. Life here is incredibly comfortable. You can rent a modern apartment for under $400 a month, US, all of these prices in US dollars, a 2-bedroom villa around $700, meals about $10 for a couple, and a full comfortable lifestyle around $1,400 a month. So this is probably the part of the world, Asia and generally, is the part of the world where you're going to stretch your dollar the furthest. And Thailand is one of the top choices in Asia for a comfortable and somewhat turnkey lifestyle for a person coming from North America. And what really sets Hua Hin apart is all of the extras. And this kind of goes the same for anywhere that you might might settle in Thailand, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia. Weekly massages, golf courses, night markets filled with incredible food, day trips to national parks. And these aren't occasional splurges. These can just be part of your everyday or weekly routine. Not to mention all the travel that you can do on that pennies, pennies on the dollar in this part of the world. You could get to Australia and all of these other places that cost a lot if you're coming from North America. But if you're already based there in Thailand, it would be a great place to explore more of that part of the world. And again, healthcare is a major highlight here. It's high quality, affordable, with internationally accredited hospitals. And because Thailand is such a major travel destination, many locals speak enough English for you to get by in daily life. So Hua Hin is ideal if your goal is simply to maximize your lifestyle while minimizing your expenses. Of course, the downside is that it's pretty far away. It's going to take you a while to get there and back. So this is more for the kind of person who is ready to make a more committed step overseas, where you don't think you'll be coming home quite so much, where perhaps you don't have family back home to visit or friends that you want to visit frequently, and a place where you would really spend much more time as opposed to flitting back and forth. But for example, between Puerto Vallarta, Mexico and the US, that's an easy, quick little flight back and forth. Tarragona, Spain, that's still a transatlantic trip, but it's still pretty accessible if you're comparing that to Thailand, which is a multi-leg, multi-dozen hour kind of trip. So something to keep in mind. So here's the big picture. In the US, $3,200 might feel limiting as a monthly budget, but in the right places overseas, it opens doors. So doors to better weather, to better food, to more time spent outside, and to a completely different pace of life. The question isn't just, can I afford to retire? It's, where can I live the best and make the most of my retirement income? Sometimes the answer is a lot further and a lot more interesting than you might expect. So tune in to Live and Invest Overseas for more suggestions like this. Again, I recommend that if you're looking for a beachfront life overseas, take a look at our beachfront living event that's coming up this July. I will be there along with many of our global friends and business partners and colleagues from around the world. And happy trails.